Hey guys, this is gonna be about Atomic Highway, post-apocalyptic role-playing game by Colin Chapman. You see the cool car there on the front. This is a Mad Max-inspired post-apocalyptic role-playing game, and this is not going to be a review. If I was to give a quick review, it would be the game's great. It's easy. The book's got a bunch of typos and stuff every once in a while in it, but other than that, it's laid out pretty well. Not a whole bunch of art, but it plays quick, plays easy. It plays with D6s. It's kind of a pool. A dice pool type game. But other than that, the system's fine. I don't really have any beefs with it. It's got car chases. It doesn't bog itself down with rules for dehydration and radiation and stuff like that. This is more of a cinematic type post-apocalyptic game. So if you enjoyed Mad Max, if you enjoyed Book of Eli, any post-apocalyptic setting or book, movie, whatever the case may be, video game, this can do it. The only thing it doesn't have rules for is advanced science technology, such as cybernetics, androids, transhumans, clones, bioreplicas, things like that. It's not going to have those things, laser weapons. And this is a early post-apocalyptic game setting. It's default. It's not really a setting that it has. It's just really a blueprint. But this is going to be really that Mad Max time frame. Now you can ramp that up, give or take, however you want to do whenever you're creating your own world. But it does have the ability for mutants, and it does have the ability for, as an optional rule, for animal humanoids. So that's where you're going to get your mutated bear man, or turtle man, or badger. There's a whole bunch of different animals to choose from, and each of them are going to come with a set of mutations, which are really abilities that the animals have, and those are also going to have flaws. Animals are going to need to have certain types of diet. Some of them maybe have a problem with light. Some of them maybe can't hold weapons very well, like guns. Their hands are crude, and they can't really hold on to. They can't really fire a trigger. They can't they can't pull a trigger on a gun. So that's something that you can add to your game to kind of take it that further step. But so you've got kind of the normal human side, and you've got a little bit more of the mutant animal humanoid side. So it does that well. Your characters are going to start off, and they're going to be from their rearing, and that's what where do they come from? Do they come from an underground Trog civilization? Do they come from a remnant of the ancient world where technology is still available, so they know a little bit more about that? Do they come from a tribal? Because a lot of people have gone back to a more nature existence. They kind of look down now upon technology. Maybe that's what created the apocalypse, and they're getting back to their roots a little bit. So do they come from that? So once you've got that in place, you're going to get skills from that. And then you're going to choose your pursuit. Your pursuit is going to be like, are you a greaser? Do you like to fix cars? Do you like to fix things? Are you a healer? Have people need to be healed, and maybe you're a holy person. Maybe you have a tribal aspect of you they let you heal people. Are you maybe you're an assassin. Maybe you're a bounty hunter. You're an outrider. You're on a motorcycle. You're a raider. And raiders can be good or bad. This is a dog-eat-dog world, so the line between survival and being an evil character sometimes can be skewed. So, what is your character? Where did he come from? And that's where your pursuit comes from. It gives you some weapons, gives you some more skills, and it may give you a vehicle. And that's where you go and you create your own vehicle, and that's very fun. You get a certain amount of points, and there's extra, to choose what type of vehicle you want. The extra points go into the fun stuff of, a ram, armor, twin-linked, heavy machine guns, oil slick dispenser. There's a bunch of fun things to choose from. You can give your vehicle some flaws as well, and your vehicle starts to become its own entity, and that's fun. I know players really enjoy that. I know I did as a player, and I like having seeing that in my players' face when they kind of they take ownership of that vehicle, that spaceship, another genre. And sometimes fantasy doesn't really give you that. Where post-apocalyptic, that car, that truck, you can even have a van or a bus. They become that extra player. They have personality, and they go through, they're going to have their own little wars out there on this atomic highway, on this road, against raiders or whatever the case may be. You're going to be driving down the road at breakneck speeds, and, your character's going to be trying to lean out the window, shooting back at some raider on a motorcycle. He's blowing up. His body's pretzeling on the road, and you've got a big rig that's just slamming into a dune buggy. Its occupants just get, and its hull just gets destroyed all over the front of this ram that you've placed on the front of your truck, you know. So there's a bunch of fun to be had with vehicles. The combat's fun. It doesn't have rules for miniatures. You could use miniatures as a, you know, as a game aid, really. Over here on my shoulder, you can see right here, I've got this board I've made, and it's got rules for distance when it comes to the vehicles, and this is just something that actually makes the distance thing just a little bit more complicated, actually. So just make sure you understand that this is just for distance. It doesn't have anything to do, really, with the placement 100% of where the cars are in relation to it. So you've got your humans, you've got your post-apocalyptic world. You know, how was it created? You know, was it some sort of biotechnology that ran amok? Was it, you know, warring nations? Was it some sort of plague? There's a bunch of choices you can make with how you make your setting, and you know, Atomic Highway will kind of give you some suggestions what you could make. You know, make your own towns. Where is it located? Is it in, you know, North America? Is it in Europe? You know, you've got a bunch of fun you can play with post-apocalyptic role-playing games. So, you know, and I'm finding my players are really enjoying, you know, they see something they know, but it's different. It's changed. It's been altered through time and this great event, and it's made it different. So maybe you could play with, you know, giant insects. You know, you want your world to be full of giant insects, maybe, you know, giant ants or something. So you've taken something that the players know and you've ratcheted it up a little bit, and I think players really like that. And they're also going to gravitate towards a barter system. I highly recommend that you don't implement any type of currency. Now, you can for your game, that's fine, go for it. But I really like when my players, I give them, let's say, I give them a bottle of vinegar has survived. They're in a gas station. They've been looking through the debris and they find an unbroken bottle of vinegar. You know, they're writing that down. They're like, okay, cool. We've got a bottle of vinegar, and use that at your barter town, your farmstead, or something to get supplies, to get food. Maybe that buys you all your players, you know, at a bar or something. This futuristic punk bar. You know, it gives them, you know, a round of shots or something. You know, really the sky's the limit. So your character's going to be writing down any mundane object, and there's plenty you can get from tables. The game's got some in it, some good scavenging tables, and they've broken up into sections on what you're searching. So if you're searching a warehouse, you may find this. If you're searching a house, you may find food stores, you know, food stuff, apparel, housewares. And you're going to roll on those, and you're going to come up with some pretty cool fun. And you know, your character's going to be writing down some strange things, but really that's going to be the what your character's after. Because those things would get them better things, better weapons, better armor, better gear, whatever the case may be. So when you're just handing out, you know, a currency that they can use, you know, the post-apocalyptic world, you know, that I create, I want them to, you know, have to struggle between, do we open up this can of peaches or do we trade it in to the barter town? Maybe I can get 2 or 3 pieces of ammo for it, for my gun, or you know, my bow and arrow needs some arrows. Maybe they've got some. Here's, you know, a can. Sure. And it's going to also make those players, you know, really have more of a face-to-face with any type of commerce, merchant, bartender, and really role-play, ratchet that up. And when it comes to NPCs, they give you a good bit of NPCs that you're going to face in the game. There's not a whole bunch of what I would call monsters. They're not mutated, just mutated humans. They're beyond science. They're, you know, extreme cases of nature run amok with this post-apocalyptic world. So think about, you know, maybe come up with your own. It's very easy to do using some of the mutations and stuff, but there's plenty of NPCs that they talk about, and those are really going to be reflective of what their characters are, because you're going to have somebody that wants to trade, someone that wants to fix things, someone wants to just kill stuff. And NPCs are going to share that as well. So the barter system is really going to make those players that really maybe pull them out of their shell a little bit, have them, you know, start talking and value what you've given them. I find that in post-apocalyptic role-playing games, characters will really start to write down. They'll really start to get into what they have, and you know, really have an ownership of it. And that's fun to see as a game master, and you're watching them do that. You're watching them hold on and say, you know what, let's break into our P's, or we've got some MREs here that are, you know, and you're starving. You've been on the road for a long time. You haven't found anything. There's no hunting in the area. You haven't seen any small animals to try to hunt. And really ratchet up that hunger, and then those good players are gonna be like, okay, guys, we're gonna have to delve into this food that we have. So that's a fun thing. Atomic Highway is about, uh, you know, when I play it, my world is a vast, desolate place where either everything's already been searched through, everything's already been eaten, but some stuff might be left behind. Some stuff might have not been found. So the players have that small little percent chance. Like, you know what, there may still be something there, but maybe somebody else is thinking the same thing. So we need to be cautious, okay, about going into this rundown gas station. Is there, sure, there may be something still in there. Maybe somebody's already looked through it. Maybe somebody's still living there. Or maybe a monster or creature or something, giant insect. They're now calling that its home. So every house, every ruin, everything that they come across, your players are starting to get a real survival mode instinct, and that's just fun to see them do. Now, some of them might overthink it a little bit and think that everything that you throw at them is going to be some sort of terrible monster ready to tear their face off, or some mutant with a club ready to bash your brains in. But that's just part of the course, and it's almost a little bit of a horror aspect, I think, in post-apocalyptic games, if you want to go down that route. If you just want to do the raiders and cars and tearing stuff up and blowing stuff up with big explosions and machine guns going off, go for it. But I think with Atomic Highway you can really delve with more exploration and cars and normal type of NPC character interactions. Um, the the combat system's easy when it comes to the cars. It's just like it is when it comes to normal character to enemy. It uses some of the same stats. It has an adventure in the back you can try out, give you a little taste of it. But it really also, it wants you to make your own world, and it gives you a couple of things that say, hey, look, how did your world get started? Why did it happen? How is the weather? How is the land? How is food? So, you can create your own world with it, and it gives you a couple hints with that. Create your own NPCs. Recreate stuff, pull it straight out of these things that you like, If you want to use Thunderdome, pull it out of Thunderdome. Your characters are going to enjoy that. You're playing that to kind of relive those things that you've seen. So have at it. That's what I say. It only uses D6s, so you're not gonna you're not throwing a whole bunch of stuff at characters. There's not a whole bunch of numbers to keep track of. It does use a hit point system, and there is also a Benny type, like a Savage Worlds type Bennies mechanic in there, which I actually really like. It's a lot more fluid than in Savage Worlds. You get them out a lot, you use them a lot more, and you have a lot more things to use them with. So that's fun. You can't just, you're not just using them for this and this. You've got a couple of options, and you've got a couple of different amounts you can hand back in, to the GM and say, hey, I want to do this over again, or I want to be better at that, or, I've rolled all ones. I don't want anything bad to happen, so here's 3 of my tokens that I'm using. So that's fun. And it's part of kind of the new genre of games where they have some sort of thing where the player can kind of say, oh, that didn't go right. Let me try to see if I can't fix that. And then they can role play for more of them. Get more of them from the GM as a reward. So Atomic Highway does have that as well. The only negatives I see is this. Some of the book does have quite a few typos and errors in it. It is a free role-playing game, though. And free's great, when it comes to something that you're creating in your mind and you've got something that's free, it does what it needs to do. It's got some typos, it's got some issues here and there, maybe some stuff's omitted from some of the stats, but really nothing too complicated. It's written very well. I really like what Colin Chapman did with it. And it's also got a supplement that's also free called Irradiated Freaks, which I'll be speaking about in another video. And that really ratchets up the mutations. I mean, obviously, Irradiated Freaks. It's got a whole bunch more animals in it that choose from for your animal humanoid, and it's got a bunch more monsters that I spoke about. And the main book doesn't have a whole bunch of them, but it has trogs, and those are fun. Morlocks, have them pouring up out of the ground. You're going into a ruin, an ancient ruin. It used to be a mall or something, and trogs are just it's just full of trogs climbing the walls. I mean, the sky's the limit with this game. Highly recommended if you want to get into post-apocalyptic worlds and gameplay and get out of the fantasy. Give it a shot. See what you think. Thanks.